In this lecture, we're going to talk about Google and Google Scholar. We're also going to touch on Google Images, and hopefully by the end of this, you're going to feel a little more comfortable in using and excelling in some more complex ways of integrating Google searches into our life and using it smartly. My name's Elizabeth Brown, and I'm the instruction coordinator at the James E. Brooks Library. My usual co-partner for this presentation is Jenna Skinner, and she's not with us at this time. If after this session you're really interested in learning some more about advancing your search skills, some courses that we have in the library are LAS 110 Research Fundamentals, and not listed here is 245 Research Methods in the Digital Age, which is a 4-credit course. Both of those do not have any prerequisites, and anyone is welcome to take those courses. The schedule for today is to talk about Google, or for this presentation is to talk about Google and advanced search techniques, create a Google Scholar account, or at least cover how to do that and links to CWU libraries, and then some methods for performing citation mining, saving articles, and creating citations using Google Scholar. Why do we use Google? It's become pretty ubiquitous. It's often downloaded on your phone, it's defaulted onto many searches, and it's speedy, it's easy to use, it has autocorrect, and it's a default search engine. There are reasons you wouldn't use Google and that you might try a different search engine, such as DuckDuckGo or Dogpile. But for this lecture, we're really just talking about Google and ways that you can use it. When do we use it? We can use it to develop the background knowledge of a topic, define a topic, terms or concepts, identify some experts in a field, determine the scope, find keywords and related topics. There are many reasons that we would be using Google, but in academic research, we don't always go to it for finding scholarly resources, or I wouldn't always recommend that option because it may not show you all the things you have access to, maybe just that they exist. We also can use Google for finding images and videos, or accessing corporate publications or professional resources that aren't available through academic databases. The nitty-gritty, now we're going to get into some search techniques. So what Google automatically does when you put search terms into the search engine is that it searches for synonyms, which is handy because there are many times when I type a word and I mean many synonyms of that term. It ignores conjunctions and prepositions. When I put and between potatoes and carrots, it's going to take out the and just go tomatoes, carrots. It's also going to be prioritizing nouns. So when it comes to search, how to search for what I want, I can use keywords instead of full sentences. So taking out those prepositions, conjunctions, or extraneous words when I can. How you order your words in the search actually matters. So when I have wind energy, that's going to give me different results than energy wind, phrased differently. So just be mindful of that when you're putting in search terms. You can also add the year to your search to start narrowing down, especially if you're dealing with recent events or events that happened in the less recent history. Using quotation marks around a phrase is a way to get those words together. So you can string together an exact phrase and put quote marks around it, and that ensures that a specific word is included. You do have to be very specific and precise with the spelling of the words you use when you're using quotation marks because it's going to look for exact terms. It also disables automatic synonyms. So when you're looking for a search quote, it's really just looking for that quote. Google doesn't use or as much. So some search engines will, such as OneSearch, will use and or not as search operators. And Google isn't so good with the not part, but it does recognize minus signs. So when you want to be searching for something and exclude terms, you could put a minus sign before it. So the example here is hot dog mascots minus Heinz. It's going to take out all the hot dog mascots that are on the web and take out the Heinz part. Some other more advanced search techniques. So when Google automatically is searching, it searches all file types, it's searching for those terms anywhere on the page, it doesn't matter where, it's not too selective, and it searches all websites that it has indexed. How to search for what you want. You can combine terms with or to look for either term. Sorry, in the previous slide I was talking about or, I meant not. Or can be used to look for alternatives. I've found it is kind of hit or miss on whether or not or actually works very well. You can look for file type, a PDF specifically. That's handy, especially if you're trying to find a report by a specific entity or a government entity. You can look for a file type. Around is so much fun. I really love and recommend using this particular search technique. So around is when it's used between two search terms to find pages where those terms are written in close proximity to each other. So we may know that Gloria Steinem and Alice Walker had a connection to each other. And I'm looking for maybe works where they're in close proximity to each other in the writing, because I don't want Alice Walker just somewhere later down on the page on a list of feminists. I want them to be next to each other or close to each other, because that's more likely the piece is actually talking about the relationship between them. This is really handy because in the around you can specify how many words away you're going to say the search engine can pull things back from. Also handy if you're looking for a quote or someone gives you kind of a misquote. Parts of the quote are there and you know some of the words in the quote for sure, but you're not sure how closely those things are related. So the around is really nice for that. You can also use in text, in title, and cite. In text is going to pull back a term that's in the text. In title, it's going to demand that it's in the title of the actual article or website. And then cite, I can use .edu, .gov, .com, and it's going to bring back sites that have that ending. Other search techniques I can use in Google include the hashtags for looking at social media hashtags. It's also used as a wildcard. And asterisks are used for wildcards to distinguish spaces between terms. So this is nice for quotes. Here we have a blank saved is a blank earned. I'm not sure what those terms were. Was it a nickel, a dime, a penny? I know that phrase, but I don't remember what the terms were. I can use wildcards. Google's already searching for synonyms, so teen plus asterisk afterwards to look for those endings, teenager, teens, teen, isn't necessary. Searching on a page or article. Okay, this is a tip that I like to let everybody know about because it can speed up the search process. So when you're on any website or searchable document, you can on a Mac use a Command F, and on a Windows you can use a Window F. And this will give you a little search box for that page, and you can use whatever your term is. In the case of Gloria Steinem and Alice Walker, we can do a command search for Alice Walker and find out where on the page Alice is coming up. Very helpful for any kind of searching that you're doing, and that's not just a Google search. We're going to come back to demonstrations and talk about images first. Reverse searching images is something that isn't very hard to do, but it's maybe something we forget we can. So when you are in Google, you can copy a website image to a URL to image of an image that you want to search. So you go to Google Images and then you just put the link in. You can right click on the image and then select copy link location to get the URL. And you can click search by searching on the Google Images. You can also paste a picture in. So where the arrow is pointing over here, that's where you can get the images part, you can also upload an image. So here you've got paste an image URL. That's what the option is giving me. I could upload an image if I don't have a URL. So I just have a PDF or a JPEG of the image itself. Within Google Tools, so once you've searched for, in this case, we've got grapefruit as an example. I'm in images. I can go look through the tools and apply some of them. So I could look for a specific size, a specific color or type. And usage rights is really helpful because I could sort to Creative Commons licensed material. If you're looking for pictures for a presentation, you're going to want to make sure that the use of the material is appropriate, and looking for Creative Commons licenses is a way to look for material that's okay to use because someone has licensed it to be used. We're going to come back to that and talk first about Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is a section of Google, essentially, that looks for scholarly material. I know some people who use Google more than they use OneSearch. I use OneSearch more than I use Google Scholar. And that's because I like the interface better personally, and also I can find more stuff. Google is not going to recognize everything that's available to you through OneSearch, and as a student or someone with CWU credentials, you're probably going to have more available to you when you just go through OneSearch. However, you can use Google early in your search when, just to find out how much information is available, kind of what's out there, discover some terminology that's used in the field or discipline, some authors to look for, because when you get very narrowing on a topic, you may find that the same authors are coming up repeatedly. If you're late in your search, you may want to use Google to access specific articles or use it for easy citation mining. So what you're going to want to do for any Google use is get your account connected to your CWU account so that you start recognizing, or Google starts recognizing, any time that an article is available at the CWU library, because that's ultimately what's gonna get you access to it. That's what you're interested in. So over here on the left hand side, we've got Google Scholar, and I've got articles checked. So from here you need to be logged in, so you have a Google account for this part, but then you can go up to the upper left hand side. You've got these 3 dots or 3 lines. That's going to take you into your settings, and once you're in your settings, you're going to want to go over to library links, and that's where you add Central Washington University, and you check both Open WorldCat and Central Washington University. Find it at CWU. Then saving, what's going to happen is the next time you find an article in Google Scholar, it will let you know this article is available through your library. And if it's not giving you a link, it doesn't necessarily mean it is not available for your library. It may just be not recognizing it, and it's always good to double check. But it will recognize some of them, and then that's a shortcut for you later to actually access it. A different feature of Google Scholar is adding the Google Scholar button to your browser. So when you add Google Scholar, and you can do this through your extensions, you add the Google Scholar button, and then when you look up articles on the open web, you can look for them and see if you can find that article in Google Scholar, or see if you can get a copy of it. The example here is showing an article that's available in OneSearch. You could do this for articles that are listed at the end of a web page after someone has made an argument and they've listed their sources at the end, and you want to go investigate. If you just highlight that title and that author and then click on your Google Scholar button, it's going to try to search for any place that has that article. And sometimes that might be in a repository, an institutional repository that is hosting a preprint or a final print of that copy of material. One tool that I would recommend using from Google Scholar Tools is the ability to citation mine. All of the same searching stuff that we just covered about Google, all those techniques apply to Google Scholar as well. You can save them to your library by adding a star, which is down here. You do have to be logged in for it to actually save to your account. You can generate a citation. Citation mining, what I mean by citation mining is you can click on cited by, or you can click on related articles. When you click on something that says cited by 40, in this case it's saying 48 other people have cited this article. If you click on that, it's going to take you out to all of those articles that have come after. Since this was published in 2011, pretty much everything that we're going to find is probably going to be afterwards. Related articles, it's going to expand probably into a variety of other things that are related to this topic.